Good evening. So it is nighttime. I thought I could change the LED lights and use this music for the theme of the story time I'm about to give. Now, I have said in the past, in some of my relationships with guys, I have experienced domestic violence. And they always put their hands on me, or they attempted to try and put their hands on me to beat me up or whatever. But this is an attempt. So I'm gonna say the fourth year that me and my ex of 5 years was together. This is when he had brought his kids around. Now, I remember I did a story time a while back. I think back in maybe November or October. It was October. A story time about how my ex of 5 years brought all his 3 kids to my house, in my home, to spend Father's Day with him, but also, just to spend time with his kids, because one day his baby mama called him out of the blue and asked him, could he keep his kids? Now, to me, none of those kids looked like him at all. They were all light complected, and he was dark as hell. He was black. But anyway, I mean, that don't have to mean nothing, because there's people in my family who really don't look like their kids, because they're brown skinned and their kids came out light skinned or whatever. But his kids came over, spent a week. Now, his kids acted very like kids that didn't have no home training, baby kids. They really pretended as if they was gonna mind me. He left his kids with me all the time, and he would leave the house and go out drinking. Now, I said it back then in the story time that I felt like he was going off to go spend time with the kids' mama. They all had the same mama, his 3 kids. And he was, because he told me that she would meet him behind the store Jovi's that was right behind my apartment complex at the time. And he would give her money for the kids. Okay? Now, another time he said he met up with her to give her some more money for the kids. And I asked him, I'm like, I don't know who you think I am, but I'm not your babysitter. While you go meet up to give they mama money for them, you need to start taking your kids with you. And I mean that. I'm like, because I'm not a babysitter. Those are your kids. And I ain't supposed to be just cooped up in the house keeping all 3 of your kids while you go out drinking and driving with your dumb ass. And you ain't supposed to be drinking and driving, because that's how you got arrested once. But anyhow, he started taking his kids with him. Now, finally, before they left, it was one morning, me and my daughter was in the same room sleeping. They were all sleeping in the living room. They get up and they ask him, could they go in my daughter's room and play with her toys? Fuck asking me, because I'm the head of the household, not him. He was supposed to come in the room and ask me could his kids play in my daughter's room. I don't care. And he's like, yeah, y'all can go and get there. Y'all don't have to ask me. And I'm listening. I wasn't all the way asleep because I was listening to him in the kitchen, and he cooking breakfast for their asses at 7 a.m. in the morning and stuff. But the first thing they want to do is go in my daughter's room and dirty up and play with her toys and tear up her toys, which is what they did. They tore up her blinds, tore the curtain down in her room, broke some of her toys, left the room completely dirty and filthy. Had been eating chips in there and snacks and just left my daughter's room just dirty. So, the very next day, it was time for them to leave. The mama had called. I don't know why he always felt like, because he put her on speaker, that he was doing something right. Because, like, what you putting her on speaker for me to know what you and her talk about when you was meeting up with her and had me in the house babysitting your kids. Okay, so therefore, the mama here came. He told me he was going to introduce me to their mom. He never did. And I feel like it's because he still had something going on with her. So, that was kind of odd and weird. Like, you said you was going to introduce me to her, and she comes to my house to retrieve her kids. You should have introduced us. I don't care. But anyway, all three of his kids left, and when they left, I was so relieved. I was so glad, but I was mad because I had to go in my daughter's room and clean, put the curtain back up and the blinds back up. And I was pissed off, and when he came back, because he left the same time them kids left, their mom came and got them. He left and went out drinking again, like the alcoholic he was. So when he got back, I went off on him. I said, first of all, you sit up there and blame my daughter for eating all the snacks that you bought. You made $200 worth of groceries, but your kids was eating snacks profusely also. Your kids was acting bad. Your kids was doing things. Your kids was hitting on my daughter. I don't understand why you was acting like that while your kids was here. And your kids could have helped clean my daughter's room. I don't appreciate the fact that you didn't make them clean my daughter's room. I don't appreciate the fact that they went in there the other morning after you told them that they could go in there and dirtied up my daughter's room and didn't clean up after themselves. He was like, well, you know what? I'm just finna go for a ride and cool off because you pissing me off talking about my kids. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You can go for several rides. Bye. So he left. He come back late at night, like 12 a.m. And he's drunk as hell. And he was like, He opened the door with the house key that I gave him. And I went to the top of the stairs. My daughter went with me. My daughter was little then. She was in elementary. He's like, you gonna talk all that shit to me earlier, talking about my motherfucking kids? You gonna talk about my kids? And he was walking up the stairs slowly after me with his fist balled up. So what I did, I grabbed my daughter, took her in the room with me. I had my phone in my hand. And I was gonna call the police and have his fucking ass arrested. I brought my daughter in the room with me and I locked my motherfucking room door. And I let him hear me. I put it on speaker. I let him hear me dial 911. He said, oh, he was beating on the door talking about, oh, you gonna lock me out? Okay. I said, get the fuck away from my door. I'm finna call the laws. He's like, I hear you calling the police. You don't have to call the police on me. I'll just leave. That's all you women like to do is keep a nigga locked down. I'm like, fuck you. Get away from my door. And so when I heard him get away from my door, then I unlocked my room door and me and my daughter came out of the room. And he was so mad. He's sitting on my couch, shivering, his lips shivering, and he's upset, and he's like hitting his fist in his hand, talking about, oh, you made me mad. He's like, those are my motherfucking kids, and you don't never fix your mouth to say nothing about my kids. I'm like, I didn't say nothing wrong about your kids. Like I said, they could have helped her clean their room. Or your fucking ass could have cleaned my daughter's room. You did not have to let your kids be in here dirtying up and tearing up stuff. Because at the end of the fucking day, when the maintenance people come to fix this shit, there's money coming out of my pocket when I pay my rent. Because I have to pay for whatever is damaged and broken. And now your kids done broken my daughter's blinds. He's like, you know what? I'm just fixing to call my cousin to pick me up. And since you got so much stuff to say about my kids, I'm leaving. I'm like, okay. And what I'm supposed to do? Shed a tear? Beg you not to go? He's like, you should. I say, but I'm not. So he calls his cousin and tells his cousin to be here in 30 minutes. He packed a suitcase with some of his shit. But when his cousin came and got him, the very next day after I brought my daughter to school, walked my daughter to school and stuff, he called himself calling me and texting me and asking me could he come back. I said, first off, you come back when I tell you can come back. No, you can't. He's like, well, I live there too. My air mattress is there. I lay my head there too. So you gonna just leave me out in the street? I'm like, you're not out in the street. You're over there at your sister's house. But you acted violent with me. You was gonna put your hands on me. So why you think I'm just gonna let you come back that fast? Like I said, you have to wait. And I hung up in his face. And he texts back and say, you got me fucked up, but that's alright. I ain't gotta come back to your funky ass apartment. I had put some emojis of some fingers of the FU sign, and I told him, stop texting my phone. Don't call me no more. It's over. But anyway, I made his ass wait like 2 weeks. Then I let him come back because he was gonna pay for the way how violent he was acting with me. And another time, it was a violent episode between me and him. He wouldn't let me out of the room. He acted like he was gonna hit me too. And that was kind of like my daughter was outside the door, on the other side of the door, listening to him act violent with me, and I was trying to tell him to let me out of the room, and he never did. Because he got mad because I told him he can get the fuck out of my house. But that is one of my domestic violence stories. I ain't done a domestic violence story in a long time because I have a lot of them, but majority of the domestic violence stories come from a dude who I was just only had a situationship with. We wasn't boyfriend and girlfriend, but he felt like he owned me and stuff, so he used to hit me and punch on me and put his hands on me. But that is another story time. But hope y'all found this content entertaining. It's a very true story. Until then, y'all stay blessed.